All right, Big Bang. Today is Friday. It's March 11th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. But before we hop into today's True Crime Friday, we got to talk about Roman. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend here. We celebrate a little early in Chicago. So it's Friday night right now, okay? If you don't have your swipes, I feel bad for you. You're probably sitting there and you're thinking like, oh, all the bars in the bar crawl tomorrow while you're pumping and you're having the sex, and it's just not going to help you out. It's not going to be good for you because it's not a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. But Roman swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed, and that's exactly what you need. So you got to order them, have them in stock for the next holiday. I don't want to hear next time, Kentucky Derby weekend that you're like, oh, I should have listened to Eddie St. Patrick's Day weekend. Go grab these now. They're a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. Like I said, they're effective, easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. They ship to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. Super easy to use. Just take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry. You're good to go. That's it. Go to GetRoman.com/dogwalk to get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/dogwalk. I can't stress it enough. Give the swipes a shot. You don't want to be left holding the bag. You want to make sure you're putting on a great performance. So go get the Roman swipes. And also, on that note, if you're in a situation, maybe you spent too much, you racked up too many bar tabs, and you need a way to pay off your existing debt quickly and easily with a personal loan so you can start living your life, Upstart's there for you too, guys. So whether it's paying off credit card debts, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart knows you're more than just a credit score, so rather than looking at your credit score alone, Upstart's model considers other factors like your income, employment, and other information provided in your loan application to find you a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in just 5 minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can even receive the funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Eddie. That's upstart.com/Eddie, EDDIE. Don't forget to use that URL because it lets them know that we sent you. That helps us out a lot. And yeah, just one more time, guys. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/Eddie. Last time, make sure you go do it. If you're in debt, it's really the smartest way to go. Go check them out. Get yourself on the right track to start enjoying your life again. So, okay, Allie, True Crime Friday is upon us. How are you today? What are we getting into today?
Doing good. Today we are getting into Patti Adkins, which is actually pretty well-known story. I think you're probably going to recognize this one.
Okay.
Have you heard of it right off the bat? Probably
no.
Not.
Same thing. Like, I'm just finding out with a lot of these, like last week's with the reality TV one, where once I hear some details and whatnot, then I realize, oh, okay, I've heard of this, but
Okay.
Off the page, Patti Adkins does not ring a bell.
Okay. Well, allow me to share with you. So Patti Adkins was 29 years old in 2001 when she went missing. And spoiler alert, she has not been found. So on June 29th, 2001, Patti was leaving work around midnight because she was finishing up second shift. She worked at the Honda plant in Marysville, Ohio. And she was finishing up from her work. She had plans to go on this like secret romantic getaway vacation with her boyfriend. That being said, she had actually gotten a ride to work from a friend that morning because she was going to be leaving right from work to go on this vacation. She didn't want her car sitting in the parking lot while she was gone. So they were going to leave in Patti's boyfriend's truck. Now, the thing about Patti's boyfriend was that he was actually married. So this is why this was like a secret getaway. They had been dating on and off for a few years, and they worked together, obviously. The plan was for them to leave right from work because the plant was actually shutting down for like a week to give employees vacation. So like, great, during this time, we're going to go on our little getaway. But, it wasn't known that they were dating. This was a secret thing. He was married. So due to this, he had instructed her, and I'm going to continue to refer to him as the boyfriend throughout this episode because his name still to this day has not been publicly released, which blows my mind because we're now 21 years later and his name is not, still hasn't been released. And he's the prime suspect in this case. But regardless, we'll refer to him as the boyfriend. So Patty's boyfriend had instructed her some very odd things. First, he said, okay, so since we're leaving from work and we're going to leave in my truck, but we don't want people to know that we're leaving together so people don't get suspicious and start asking questions. What I need you to do is climb into the bed of my truck and hide under a tarp. And then I'm going to get in my car or get in the driver's seat and we're going to drive away. Sketchy. Very sketchy right off the bat.
Yeah. I mean, like, now that you know what happened, it's sketchy. I mean, it's still like, that's great lengths, but hey, if there's a work relationship and you want people to find out, like, sometimes you got to do whatever necessary. You know what I mean? Like, if you're how much different is, tossing the cheating guy in the closet? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I guess that's true.
You got to conceal whatever way is necessary.
But if this is like an attempt not to be seen by people, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're like, oh, we don't want to see people walking out of work together and getting in a car. Don't you think somebody would think seeing somebody crawl into the bed of a truck might be a little more suspicious? Like if somebody were to see that?
Yeah, but also we don't really know the setup of the office. Like maybe he was, maybe they're in a spot where she could crawl in and like no one would see her. But of course.
Yeah, they might have like positioned the truck,
like
out in the back or something.
Yeah, because if you get caught crawling in the truck, then it's like the most obvious thing ever. It's like, oh, where's she hiding from? So
yeah,
I got you.
So in addition to that, the boyfriend also agreed to drive a coworker home from work. I don't know if this was like a coworker actually needed a ride or if this was his attempt at trying to like, again, avert suspicion to be like, oh, I'm taking this coworker home, has nothing to do with Patty, yada, yada. So he agreed to this. So him and the coworker get in the truck after work. Patty's already in the bed of the truck under this tarp and they start driving. Now, this coworker lived like 30 miles away. So this wasn't just a quick, like, let me drop you off thing. He lived pretty far. So, and Grant, again, this whole time, like they're leaving after second shift. So they're leaving like at midnight. Now they stop at a Burger King drive-thru and whatever, they continue on their way. But the boyfriend later goes on to state that they had to wait 45 minutes in line at Burger King. Okay. At midnight.
That's a long time, but you never know. I mean, there's been you ever been in a long drive-through line?
I don't know that I've been in that long of a drive-through line at like midnight, 1 a.m.
Yeah. Because I mean, let's be honest, the time just crawls more too while you're there as well. Like 5 minutes feels like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean.
Probably after about 10 minutes, I would probably leave the drive-through and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Burger King, but that's just me.
Yeah. Especially 45 is an astronomical amount of time to through.
Yeah.
Like
so
crazy.
Patty was also a single mother to one daughter who she absolutely adored. Now, she had told a few friend and family that she was going on this trip. And one of them was her sister, Marcia. And Marcia was going to watch Patty's daughter while she was gone. So Patty drops her off before she goes to work and then agrees to pick her up, when they get back, which was supposed to be on July 8th. So they were on for about a week. Now, in addition to telling her to, kind of hide in the bed of the truck, Patty's boyfriend also told her, do not bring a phone because they were going to a remote cabin in Canada. He was like, don't bring a phone. We're not going to have phone service. So it's pointless. Shady. But okay.
Yeah, that's more damning to me. Like,
Yeah, that's a little bit like, and then on top of that, he also said, and also don't pack anything because we're going to buy all new things once we get there.
Once again, that's more damning to me than, I mean, of course, like, I don't want to defend the tarp thing in the truck too much, but like, that's not like to see any type of logic. That's all I'm doing with that. But those are strange.
Yeah. So Patti listens to him in the sense of like not bringing a phone. And Marcia, her sister, knew that she wasn't bringing a phone with her. So she didn't, it wasn't, unheard of that she wasn't going to hear from Patti for the week. Patti did, however, bring like a small duffel bag with her of items, which she, hid under the tarp with. Now, the two of them leave, and that is they're gone on their vacation. And then July 8th comes. Patti does not come to pick up her daughter. And right off the bat, Patti's family is like, okay, this means that something has to be wrong, because Patti would not just abandon her daughter. She adores her daughter. She wouldn't just up and leave her. They obviously can't get a hold of Patti because she didn't bring her phone with her. So her sister decides that she's going to call the boyfriend. So Marcia calls the boyfriend, and he basically pretended like he didn't even know who Patti was. He's like, Patti who? I don't know what you're talking about. There was never any vacation. There's no affair going on with us. Like, completely blew her off with this. So now they're extremely worried. They're like, okay, where's Patti? We can't get a hold of her. This guy who she's supposed to be with apparently doesn't even know who she is, let alone went on a trip with her. So that same day on July 8th is when Marcia reports Patti missing to the Marysville PD department. Now, when they started looking, and police started looking into this, they had no trouble like opening an investigation, but police went to check. One of the first things they're going to do is go and check Patti's house, right? So they go to Patti's house and they find everything is in order as it was left. Her car is tucked away in the garage, like they expected it to be, because she got a ride to work. And there was nothing like strewn about to where to be like, oh, a struggle happened here or something, nothing like that. It was completely normal. So like, okay. They did, they were not able to locate the bag the bag or the belongings that she brought with her, even though her boyfriend told her not to. They couldn't locate that. So police, pretty quickly off the bat, suspected that Patti had met foul play, especially because that biggest red flag of Patti did not come pick up her daughter, and her family was insistent that she would not just up and leave her. Now, the police then go to the boyfriend, and they go ahead and bring him in for questioning first. And they say, we know you're Patti's secret lover. And he, again, denies all involvement with Patti. He says they never had any plans to go on vacation together. They weren't having an affair. I kind of know who she is, but not really. I've seen her at work a couple of times. Like, that's it. So he completely removes himself. He also said this is where his alibi comes in of driving a coworker home. So he was like, I didn't leave that with Patti that night. I left with this coworker. I drove her home. We went to Burger King, sat in line for 45 minutes, and then I got home around 2:30. Okay. His wife corroborates his story of getting home at 2:30. And she's like, yeah, that's totally normal for him. It was not out of the blue, whatever. She goes with it. The police then go and talk to Burger King. And Burger King, the manager was like, we don't ever have a line that would take 45 minutes to get through that time of night. And we know for a fact that on that night there was no 45-minute wait at that time of day. So boom, right there, we know the boyfriend's lying. Now, they also go to, or after they're done questioning, I should say, they go and search the boyfriend's house. And this is on July 13th. So again, she was reported missing on July 8th. The Union City, the sheriff's department ends up taking over this case because it got put to the jurisdiction where Patti lived in. And once that happened, they then were like, okay, and this is on July 13th, they're like, all right, we need to go search his house. So they go to the boyfriend's house. And again, the boyfriend is married, has a whole, so they're going to him and his wife's house. They show up without a warrant, but he willingly lets them in so they can search the house. So he's cooperating with police, but also that's a very bold move to just let them in. Even if you're completely innocent, like to let police in without a search warrant just to search your house is probably not the best idea. Just even if you are completely innocent.
Yeah.
They search and they find a couple of items that like verify that him and Patti were in a relationship. Meaning they found a couple of gifts that Patti had given to him, that Patti's sister like verified, yeah, Patti gave that to him as a gift. Patti gave this to him as a gift. And then they also found this letter from Patti to the boyfriend talking about their relationship and how much they wanted each other. And like, boom, right there. We know that they were having an affair. He was then given a polygraph, which he failed. And so, like I said, he is prime suspect number one and only one. Problem is, even though when they searched their house, they did not find evidence of foul play, anything of that sort. The only two like kind of things that they found were they found a few cat hairs in the bed of his truck, which they brought to veterinarians who confirmed that the cat hairs belonged to Patti's cats, which when I read that, I don't know how the veterinarians confirmed that. Like, I don't know if they like had Patti's cat to compare it to and like went down that route, or they just looked at it and were like, yeah, this looks like the same hair. Must be from Patti's cat,
Well, if they have like samples of, maybe that's, I don't know. I'm not a cat guy, but maybe they'll take samples of everybody, before they leave. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a match. But you're right. It could be say, oh, it was consistent with Patti's cat. So there could be two ways. And obviously one is more legitimate than the other. If it was an actual DNA thing, then it's like, that's dead on. If one's like, oh, it looks like, it's like, well, how many black and gray cats are there? So
right.
I hear what you're saying.
Exactly. So I don't know. And I don't know the answer to that. I personally would be very surprised if there were some sort of way to like test the DNA of cat hair. But again, I don't know. The other thing that they found in the truck was the one little teeny tiny drop. I don't even want to say drop because it wasn't even a full drop. It was this little speck of blood. Now, the speck was so small that they couldn't even test it. However, they did say, like, and it's 2001 at this point, they did say, like, hey, we're going to hold on to this while we wait for technological advances, and maybe in the future we'd be able to test this. So they at least had the hindsight to like collect it, save it. And maybe even today we have technology that would be able to test it. But they at least had, the wherewithal to be like, hey, let's save this. This could be important. And it's literally one of the only things that we have at this point. So they did, but it hasn't, to today's date, nothing's come of it. Now, very shortly after Patti went missing, so during all this hoopla of questioning and searching and all this stuff, the boyfriend quit his job at the Honda plant. That's not necessarily like damning, but it's also kind of like, why'd you do that? He'd worked there for years. It was seemingly out of the blue while all this was happening, coincidentally, just kind of very strange. That was, though, police didn't have anything to arrest him on. They didn't have Patti. They didn't have Patti's bodies. They didn't have Patti's belongings that she took with her. They had no way of like tracking her cell phone activity. I mean, nothing. It's like she just straight up disappeared into thin air. It was said that, and this is something that I found very odd and suspicious, was that in the months leading up to Patty's disappearance, she had been giving her boyfriend thousands of dollars, upwards of almost $90,000, so that he would have money to buy out his current wife from the company that they had together during the boyfriend's like future divorce. So basically he was telling Patty, hey, once I can buy my wife out of our business, then I can divorce her. So Patty had been giving him money so that he could do that. That seems, and this went on for like a while. This went on for months, like over the course of months that she was giving him this money. And I find that very suspicious, especially those $90,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the more that this is where I'm like kind of confused too, because if there's all these details, like how did they get back if that's all they found? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
where did all these details leak from? Do you have that?
Meaning like about the money and stuff?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously that stuff's easy to trace. Like, oh well, look at this account, that account, whatever. But I'm saying like if it was only those two on the trip, and it was like he only said he did this, like who was the source? So obviously someone spotted them. They knew they were going. She told them she told people that she was going on this affair trip, or what happened?
Yeah. So Patty had told a couple of like friends and family, hey, I'm going on this, remote getaway to a Canada or a cabin in Canada for the week with this, said boyfriend. So she told a couple of people that that's where she was going. And she told her sister because her sister was watching her daughter. So, the sister like clued into police, hey, this is what Patty said that they were doing. Obviously the boyfriend had like this different story. What I didn't see in there, what I would be curious to know is, so Patty said that they were going for an entire week, right? Like what were the boyfriend's movements during that week? Would his wife corroborate that he was at home all week? Like, did he do something to Patty right off the bat, get rid of her and then go home and he was home all week? Did they actually go to Canada to this remote cabin and then something happened? Like, I don't know where he was accounted for during that period of time. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you for sure.
So, but again, given that police literally have a few cat hairs and like less than a drop of blood, yes, they suspect foul play, but there's kind of nothing they can do about it. So the case went extremely cold and they know exactly who they're looking at and who it probably was, but they just don't have enough to bring it to trial or to bring it to court or make charges. That is kind of where it basically went ice cold and dropped off. In 2006, so 5 years later, Patty was legally declared dead. There was no remains that were ever found. Again, her bag and belongings have to this date never been recovered. No remains have ever been linked back to her. She is still classified as missing, even though was legally declared dead. Her case does remain unsolved, and it's not closed. It's still unsolved. We have no idea even if it is her remains, we have no idea where even those are. Could be super tricky if they actually did, cross the border into Canada and then something happened, because obviously now we're involving international lines. Even though it's just Canada, like that is a whole other can of worms that you would be opening up to searching Canada to get the Canadian authorities involved, like a whole different ballgame. And I don't know that Patty's family and friends who she told she was going, I don't know if they actually, to my knowledge, like knew exactly where she was going, other than just that she was going to this remote cabin in Canada. Like, I don't think they had an exact location, or if they would have been noted, hey, they went and searched this location where she said she would be staying, kind of thing.
These cases are always the craziest because there just seems like there's so much overwhelming evidence against someone, but like this guy's just walking free right now, you know? And like,
Oh,
who knows? Maybe he didn't do anything, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of smoke in this situation, you know?
yeah. Like if something did happen, all signs point to him.
Yeah. So it's
Um,
like, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to,
yeah, no
like, that's a
phone.
lot of weird details. Like, so like she must have told her sister or her friends that he told her not to bring a bag and stuff. See,
Yeah.
that's
And to
interesting.
me, like, obviously, I don't know how this interaction went down with her sister, but to me, if I went to my sister and I was like, hey, I'm going on this secret romantic vacation getaway to a remote cabin in Canada. This dude told me not to bring a phone and not to bring anything at all with me because we're going to buy all new stuff when we get there. And I won't have any service. And you'll have no way of contacting me. And, we're going to sneak out together after work. My Anybody, I told my sister, anybody would be like, are you crazy?
Yeah, like what are you doing? What's going
Like,
on? Yeah.
see the red flags here. Not to say that like any of this was Patty's fault or anything. Like, if anything did happen to her, it was not her fault by any means. She was
No.
absolutely a victim. But also, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when she was telling people this is what she was doing. Because me, if I were receiving that information from that, I'd be like, that sounds incredibly unsafe.
Yeah. And it's just more of an
Um,
indictment on him to like go through all that. It's like just so like, what are you up to, dude? You know?
yeah,
So mhm.
yeah. The belongings thing is really what,
Like who goes on a camping or a whatever kind of trip like that and brings nothing?
and brings nothing. Like, okay, we're going to a remote cabin in Canada where you're going to have no cell phone service, but there's going to be places to go shopping for all new things there.
Yeah,
You're not going to have
exactly. It
cell phone
doesn't add
service.
up.
But yeah, it just doesn't. And also, like, why
Yeah.
would you, what I would love to know his reasoning behind, like, don't bring anything with you. Like a cell phone, okay, I could see how he could convince her of, like, oh, you're going to have no service. There's no need for it. Like, I could see how somebody could fall
Strange.
for that. But the belongings thing, like, don't pack a bag.
Yeah.
You're not gonna weird.
I just hope that they have someone still working on this because this feels like something where years later something could pop up and maybe a piece of
Yeah.
evidence that they see or new technological advancement can help out because there's just so much smoke that there's like you think there's got to be some fire somewhere here. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I would love to know if they could like go back now and test that little speck of blood
Yeah,
that they
right.
did have.
Hmm.
I didn't what I one thing I didn't like hear that they tested or looked into was like the tires of his truck. Because I know it, and again, this probably was not a thing in 2001, but I know it's something now where they can test the soil and they can tell you exactly where it's from. So that would at least have been able to tell us, like, oh, he was in Canada, or he was stayed right in Ohio the entire time. But I don't think they collected any of that, unfortunately. And this was again 21 years ago. But there is currently a $25,000 reward being offered, for any information leading to the location of, and it said location of Patty's remains, again, because she's been legally declared dead. So there is still a reward. It's, again, the case is not closed. I would love to see them kind of dig back into it and
Find
maybe
something new.
test, yeah, see if they
Yeah.
can test that blood.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, me too. Me too. Because that's frustrating with all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it just seems like you got so much, but then there's nothing there. So I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah. But
Um,
he stayed with his wife. He's, like you said, he's still walking free today. Like, nothing other than being questioned and failing a polygraph, getting his house searched. No charges have been brought against him. He was
you know
not.
his name. You don't even know his name.
His
So
name has not been publicly, which blows my mind
yeah, it's crazy that
because
someone
he
never
was the
ran
prime
with it.
suspect, or is the
Yeah,
prime suspect. And usually that stuff is released one way, whether it's leaked or
yeah,
publicly released. It's usually out there somehow. And this one's been kept under lock and key, I guess.
yeah, crazy.
But yeah, yeah.
But all right then, Allie. Thank you. That was very interesting today. So we appreciate it. And thank you everybody for listening. That's it for this week. We'll be back on Monday. We will see you then.